So, and the fact that, it was, I believe the last date was that they had to fight him, the winner of Fury and Wilder had to fight him by January or February next year. Well, we know that's never going to happen. But when I look at the style of Andy Ruiz and I look at the style of Dillian Whyte, I think myself as a coach, I think that's a terrible style for Dillian Whyte. I think Andy's skill level is far superior. I think he's got very deceptive hand speed and movement. And the biggest thing that I believe is underestimated is the power of Andy Ruiz. He hits very, very hard. And when you look at Dillian Whyte, he was down. Joshua had him down. Joseph Parker had him down and out all but in the 11th and 12th rounds of their fight. Oscar Rivas had him down. Now, looking at those three fights, I know Andy Ruiz is going to have him on the canvas. I just think it's a bad style.
So would you tell him?
Wow. Now, those are the words of the trainer of Joseph Parker. We know that that Dillian Whyte was supposed to fight Andy Ruiz, and they offered Andy Ruiz some money, which I totally believe. I think that was the case. And Andy, for whatever reason, said it was a lie, said it wasn't true, denied that, that the offer was sent, yada, yada, yada. We know that. But according to Kevin Barry states that Dillian Whyte should stay completely away from Andy Ruiz. And based on how he explained it, he has an argument. And let me counterpunch. Oscar Rivas has good power, but he's not a good finisher. He's just a guy that if he catches you with the right shot, he can hurt you and he can take you out when applied pressure, but he's not a decent finisher. We can tell that. Joseph Parker did have him down, and again, that's why he was such a it's such a question mark on why wasn't he in shape? Why was he gassed out? That's strength and conditioning 101. That's stamina. That why don't you have the stamina into the 11th round? Something is not being met. Some I wasn't dotted. Some T wasn't crossed in training. Okay. Joshua had him out cold, but Joshua was a huge puncher. Okay. Now, if he's looking at that and he's fighting someone like Ruiz could have him on the canvas. That may be the question. That may be the case. But the problem is with Dillian Whyte and Andy Ruiz. It was such an intriguing fight because of the style. Now, him being a trainer, Kevin Barry said, hey, I would never put him in there with Andy Ruiz. That's exactly why Andy Ruiz needs to get in there with these guys to show or to see how he will match up and line up with other guys and other fighters. Right? Because what Joseph Parker did, Joseph Parker boxed him smart. And Kevin Barry is a person that can give a true assessment about Andy Ruiz. Why? Because his fighter beat him, which is Joseph Parker. So if anybody knows about Andy Ruiz and studied Andy Ruiz thoroughly and the right way, would be Kevin Barry. Andy Ruiz does have fast hands. He does pop. He has some pop behind those punches, okay? Because he knows how to turn in with his power on those punches, okay? And he has good boxing ability. Again, this guy stopped the gold Olympian, people. We can't forget that. Dillian Whyte wanted that fight to prove where it was. Poor Dillian Whyte. But then the thing is, how would that fight actually go? Look at it this way. If Andy Ruiz did drop Dillian Whyte to the canvas, do you think he couldn't finish him off? Because Andy Ruiz has fast hands and he'll just let him go like he did Joshua. Why not? What would be different if he did hurt Dillian Whyte the same way? Think about it. Dillian Whyte might try to fight him back and might get knocked out, because he's still hurt, trying to still throw punches. We've seen that happen. We've seen that happen round 7 of the Joshua fight. Joshua Ruiz won in Madison Square Garden, right? Ruiz, if he gets you hurt, he is a good finisher because he has very fast hands. He says his punching power is overrated. Obviously so. Anthony Joshua overrated at punching power. He didn't think he could crack like that, right? So, he says the style is all wrong for him. It may or may not be, but here's the real deal. All this is speculation because Andy Ruiz did not take the fight. That's what made me question, because I'm like, well, what's wrong with Ruiz? Obviously Kevin Berry has a high, rank of Andy Ruiz simply because his fighter beat him, and as good as the opponents that your fighter beats, you have to put them and market them on a type of pedestal, right? Because that gives your fighter more credibility. So I get what Kevin Berry's saying, but he's also telling the truth. I think if Andy Ruiz did fight Dillian Whyte, what type of fight would that be? I do still want to see that fight happen. You know what I mean? I hope all that name talking, trash talking, and all that stuff ain't in vain because it's quarantine and these guys have nothing else to do. I hope it's not the case. But I will say this. I do want that fight to happen. I would like to see how that fight develops. What happens in that fight? Get these guys in the ring together. Right? But the fact of the matter is, I just question like Andy Ruiz, dude, everybody can believe in you, but you got to believe in yourself. He has to take these fights to show us who he is and how good he is. You know what I mean? Don't step to Ruiz and want a tune-up fight. You're just losing credibility as a fighter. You know what I mean? I hope he's not turning into a Triple G, right? I hope that's not the case. I'm only going to want to fight someone as Joshua. Why? Because he mentioned fighting Joshua for the 3rd freaking time, people. So regardless of what the assessment that Kevin Berry is putting or, about that fight, it's all speculation until he gets into the ring. But what he said, I can't argue with because I think he can hurt Dillian Whyte. And if Dillian Whyte imposes and tries to overcommit like Joshua did, the same thing will happen to and can happen to Dillian Whyte. But anyway, that's my counterpunch on that. You guys tell me what you think. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.